Welcome to Before the Credits. I'm your host, John. This is a new episode series called Cancelled. This series will cover shows that have been cancelled well before their prime. The TV show Freaks and Geeks is being featured in this episode. Future episodes will feature shows like Firefly or Better Off Ted. Freaks and Geeks premiered on NBC during the 99-2000 television season and ended up getting 18 episodes in total. But the show was cancelled after only 12 had aired. In spite of its short run, it is generally considered one of the best television shows of all time. If you don't know what the show is, then I think you are in for a treat. The show is set in the 80s and is about two kids from Michigan, Lindsay and Sam Weir, and their group of friends in high school. Lindsay is an overachiever who decides to start hanging out with the freaks, and Sam is a pretty stereotypical geek, going through his freshman year with his best friends. The entire series is available for viewing on Netflix, and if you have time, I highly recommend you watch it. It's only 18 hour-long episodes. So why did this highly rated show get cancelled so early? Well, for several reasons. The first, and probably the biggest, was the show's time slot. It was downright awful. They put it on a Saturday time slot at 8 p.m. You have to remember, back in the late 90s, people actually went outside and did stuff. You know, before the internet started controlling our lives. It went for 2 weeks, and then they had a 3-week gap for the World Series. Once it was back, we got 3 more weeks before they put it on hold until early January, when it ran until the first week of February, at which point, you guessed it, they put it on hold for the rest of the month. Come the second week of March, we are back for not 1 week, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks. Okay, I lied, only 2 weeks. And another break until July 8th, when they gave us 3 episodes in one day. Then 1 in September and 2 in October. It also jumped around from Saturday to Monday to Tuesday. Television shows had feelings this show would have abandonment issues. So in all, it took 55 weeks to air a total of 18 episodes with 6 breaks. They didn't even have a chance. They even made a website so viewers could figure out when the show was coming on again. This was back in 1999 though, so only about 30% of US households actually had the internet. On to reason 2. Well, reason 1.5 really. Ratings. But what do you expect when no one knows when your show is coming on the air? It ended up averaging about 6.7 million viewers over the first 12 episodes, whereas Friends was getting about 14 million. Now let's move on to the last reason. It didn't win enough awards. Paul Feig was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series, back-to-back years, which sounds odd considering it only got 1 season, but remember it took 55 weeks for that 1 season. The one award they ended up winning was the inaugural Emmy Award for Outstanding Casting for a Comedy Series, which may be the dumbest award ever, considering most shows have casts that almost never change. Modern Family has been nominated 7 times, but only won their first time. So you might be asking what made Freaks and Geeks so special, or why I'm dedicating a whole video to a show that only got 18 episodes, or maybe you are asking why you're still watching this episode. All valid questions that I'll try to answer. I think Freaks and Geeks is special because of the realism and just general relatability with the characters. Most of the cast were actually teenagers at the time of filming, and that made the show feel real. Their problems were real for kids their age because they were probably going through those issues. The characters were just flawed kids trying to find themselves, making mistakes, and fighting with your friends over something stupid like the popular girl. I'm looking at you, Cindy Sanders. As for why give it a whole episode, a couple of reasons. 1, I consider it possibly the best canceled TV series of all time. Yes, even more than Arrested Development and Firefly. 2, the show gave us all a lot of famous actors, and the one and only Judd Apatow. First, let's talk about Judd Apatow. If you don't recognize his name, you most likely recognize his work. Just for his movies, we have Anchorman, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Superbad, Funny People. On the TV show side of things, we have Undeclared, which is really just Freaks and Geeks 2.0, Girls, and the awesome Netflix show Love, which features his daughter Iris. See, told you we would recognize his work. Seriously, I love this guy. On to the actors, and we have a bunch of them, so I'm going to do it via the Wikipedia's billing order. Linda Cardellini, who was in ER, played Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo movie, and got 3 seasons of Bloodline on Netflix. Also, this isn't actually sponsored by Netflix. I wish I had Netflix money. Next up is John Francis Daly, who played Dr. Sweets in the TV show Bones. He's also co-writing Iron Man 4, Spider-Man's Homecoming. Here comes the juggernauts, though. James Franco, Seth Rogen, and Jason Segel. Seriously, look at all of those names. All 3 were in this show. As most of you know, James Franco is pretty much a movie star. Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, Pineapple Express, 127 Hours, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I would keep going, but this guy is in too many damn movies. This episode is already long enough. Seth Rogen has also done a bunch of movies, some with Franco like Pineapple Express, and a few with Apatow like Knocked Up. We also have Superbad, 50-50, and Neighbors. Then we have Jason Segel, who got 9 seasons on How I Met Your Mother, a slew of movies including, again, Knocked Up and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Martin Starr is a main character in Silicon Valley on Netflix. I'm kidding, that one's actually on HBO. It's a really great show, and if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. He is also appearing in Iron Man 4, Spider-Man's Homecoming. The last but not least is Sam Levine, who I skipped in the billing order because he never made it big in one thing, but he might be my favorite person from the show. Sam has went on to appear in a number of TV shows over the last 27 years, and a lot of the time it's only for an episode or 2. He did show up in the movie Inglourious Basterds, and he is frequently on a podcast called Doug Loves Movies, where he received the name Little Wolverine. As you can see, Freaks and Geeks has given us some pretty big stars, and it is a shame it was killed so early on. Now, as for the final and last question, why are you still here? Well, that's a great question, considering the video is over now.